So this morning we're going to talk about the third path of the three principal paths. And this is in Tibetan called Yang Dape Tawa. And it means the correct view. And having the correct view is important because, first of all, the mind overestimates how much joy or how much pain something can bring us. So when we deal with attachment and aversion, we're dealing with a mind that is overemphasizing how much joy an impermanent thing can bring us. Lasting joy is not going to be found in things that can't last. And then the same thing with aversion or hatred or anger. It is our mind overinflating how much negative or how much something has that threatens us, threatens to change us or threatens to kill us. So with this, we have to first start chipping away at this negative idea of self, this false, impossibly existent self. Mark doesn't ultimately exist. There is a Mark here, but Mark is malleable. Mark changes, and Mark continues to change. And if Mark wants to become this in my future, then Mark has to put the causes here now, so that they can grow and become the thing that I'm wanting to become. So with correct view, we have to look at it from, first of all, one of the four thoughts that change the mind, impermanence and death and impermanence. Analyzing and thinking about this helps to reduce that self-grasping, and then seeing cause and effect, understanding karma, understanding what it means. Karma is not just some magic word. There are too many people that are flailing it around. That's just my karma. That's just my karma. And karma is the cause. The ripening of that effect, of that cause, is the effect that we experience. And the thing is, it's happening every millisecond. It's not just because you focused on this thing now. You helped this woman across the street and that comes back at you. It's every millisecond. The good thing is so many of them are neutral. But when there are actions that we're taking of body, speech, and mind, those things are adding up. And one little tiny karma, one little movement of mind increases, according to Pabonka Rinpoche, 65,000 times after 15 days. So it's very important that we learn to choose our thoughts well and learn to have, a positive proclivity of thinking. So we start with those, and the correct view encompasses cause and effect. It encompasses dependent origination. You have to understand that things arise in dependence on certain causes and conditions. And when you look at anything and you see that it lacks any way of being aside from that, aside from dependent origination, then we say it's empty. We say that it does not possess any self-power that's separate from cause and effect. And that's important. That's what makes things malleable. That's what makes things changeable. That's what makes things. That's how things come into being. Because if they weren't empty, meaning they weren't lacking a substance separate from that, then cause and effect would have no effect on them. They would exist without causes and effects. So having the correct view is important because this is how we collect the two great collections. And the two great collections are called Sonam Kitsok and Yeshe Kitsok. And that means a collection of wisdom and a collection of merit. Collection of merit and collection of wisdom. Sonam Kitsok means collection of merit. Yeshe Kitsok means collection of wisdom. These two collections become the body of the Buddha and the mind of the Buddha that we will become. So the things that we do, the good things that we do, that power, that energy, comes from renunciation and bodhicitta. Renunciation is, taking care of ourselves, and bodhicitta is taking care of everyone else. The correct view is this understanding of how to remove the things from our mind stream that are obstacles and how to place into our mind stream the things that are good causes. Now, before we get more into the discussion of Yang Dak Petawa, the correct view, we need to have an understanding of how to meditate. What is meditation? So that we can go into our mental laboratory, we know how to work with this information. And, there are many meditation teachers out there that are teaching guided meditations. And I've already said in another video that in the Tibetan tradition, guided meditation is not meditation, it's listening practice. And listening practice is not going to do the transformation. If that was the case, then Buddha would have found a way to record these things. He would have taught one sutra and said, have somebody read this to you over and over again until you get enlightened. And he didn't. He gave 84,000 teachings publicly and privately. And we have 1,108 of them still remaining. So when you sit to meditate, the tradition is that we've got different types of meditation. I've made some videos discussing a couple of the different ones. This one here is called Gom. And Gom is, it means to familiarize or to habituate. And there are 3 types of Gom. And they are Shargom, Chegom, Jutgom. Shargom means review meditation, and it is, you memorize a text or you memorize the instructions and so on, and you call them to mind again and again and again. Chegom, His Holiness has said Chegom, which is analytical meditation, is where you make the biggest bang for your buck. The more you analyze and the more you erode that self-grasping, the more you convince the mind that there is nothing that can be threatened and there is nothing that can possess and so on, then the object you lose the fascination to the object that you're either attached to or fascinated with. So analytical meditation is wonderful because that's where you take these ideas, these Buddhist ideas, and you reconstruct your worldview by analyzing them. And when you come to the new conclusion, you'll feel a shift. You'll feel a shift in your way of thinking and your way of seeing reality. So Chegom is analytical meditation. It's basically, you're going to sit and think, but you're not going to move. You're going to sit and hold meditative posture so that the bodily distractions don't add to the plethora of other distractions you have to deal with. So it's a physical discipline. That's important. The physical discipline of just sitting there and going into the mental laboratory, making it just mental, is important. Then at that conclusion, Jutgom or Jotgom means to fix your habituation, or to habituate with a fixed mind. So you hold your mind on that conclusion as long as you can, as if you're embossing your conclusion into your mind. You're really holding that conclusion so that it rewires itself. Now, Jutgom isn't the same thing as concentration. Samten. Samten is concentration. This is where you hold your mind on a single object as long as you can. You hold it very still, like you're putting crosshairs on an object, and you want to hold it there, and you work through the 9 mental states, which are developing stability, clarity, and intensity. That's right, stability, clarity, and intensity. Now, the meditation posture is often referred to as the 7-point meditation posture of Vairochana. And sometimes it's called the 8 points of Vairochana. And whenever it's called the 8 points, it just means to focus on the breath as one of the points of meditation. And that is that the breath, you don't try to control the breath. You just let it breathe in and fall out of you. It falls in and falls out. And you watch the breath. And the breath is considered a very important object for beginners or even for advanced meditators, because the breath goes everywhere with you. You don't have to carry a little statue of the Buddha or a painted penny like I did. You just learn to focus on the breath. But if it happens to be considered an inner object because you're watching the breath go in and out, you don't take the mind too far outside of yourself in meditation, and you also don't go too far inward. Too far inward creates dullness and you'll fall asleep. Too far outward becomes excited and you're listening to all these other things. Now, in the 7 points of Vairochana, you have your legs are crossed. And now this is traditionally the way it should be done. Some people meditate in their chair, and I guess that's perfectly fine, until you get into higher tantric practices where the crossing of the legs is considered important for the energies and the winds throughout the body. So sit with your legs crossed. The full lotus posture is to put one foot on each thigh. Half lotus would be to put one foot on one thigh and the other one to rest underneath. Or you can just cross your legs. Or, as I said, you can even sit in a chair, but to also keep the spine straight. You don't want it to be tight. You want it to be straight, like a stack of silver dollars. You know, like a tube. You're elongating the energy channel, the central energy channel. And some people have equated this to the vagus nerve, and so we want that nerve to be long and not crunched down. So you want to put your hands in your lap, and you place your right hand on your left hand with your thumbs lightly touching, and then you place this 4 fingers underneath your navel. And then your shoulders should be even and spread. So just think of them as being relaxing downward. Don't pull them up, relax them downward. And your elbows are out off the body. It's a little bit not too, it's not as comfortable as just slouching and falling apart, but we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be using our mind as a tool. We're going to be sharpening this tool. So we want the elbows off the body. And some masters have said your elbows and your shoulders should feel like vulture's wings wide open. Then the head and neck, the chin should be down, the head should be lowered slightly, and your gaze should be about, your eyes are out, focused about 6 feet in front of you, just out in space. You're not going to use your eyes, but the gaze is downward. It's not even and it's not up, but it's slightly downward. And then your mouth, your teeth, and your lips are just barely apart. And this is so like as wide apart as to fit a piece of rice, a grain of rice, in through your lips or your teeth. And your tongue should be resting on the soft palate, the just touching the top of the mouth, right behind the teeth. They say that this reduces drooling, and you don't want to be sitting there meditating with just this, spit just flowing out of your lips. So you just want to hold your tongue there with your lips and teeth gently apart, not wide apart like a mouth breather, but, focused. And then, like I said, your eyes are gazing past the tip of your nose out into space. His Holiness has said, imagine that your eyeballs are rocks and they just don't do anything during the meditation. Don't rely on sensory input from the eyeballs. So holding these 7 points in meditation is a great position to get into for doing your mental work, and that's what meditation is going to be. And we're going to use this posture and the 3 types of gom to analyze and understand emptiness. So there will be things that we're going to try to memorize, and then we're going to go into our mental laboratory and tear it apart. And then the conclusion we come to, we want to fix our mind on that and burn it into our mind, burn it into our memory, burn it into our consciousness, recalibrate our consciousness, so to speak. So work on this, think about these things, and in the next video we'll get into some more details and keep on this journey of what is the correct view. And hopefully you'll start to see some things, your own worldview, shift a little bit.